Copy. Okay. Alright. We're live, I think. And there we go. Everybody's in their right spot, right? Hi, Bosh. How you doing? You sleepy? Got my dog under my feet and pencil ready to roll. And sharpened. Alright, so we got something to study here. Let's see, that'll be over here, I think. And happy Tuesday. I got a bot to delete over there. Where was I? He's got stuff in his pockets. That's just there for show, I guess. That's good. Some kind of ammo packs or something. Oh, he's back again already, huh? Block. Man. Like a Soviet soldier here, I guess. And that head's going to come forward more. I always save the head for last, right? Good morning. That makes sense back there. I'm not sure what that is right here. Shovel or something, or grenades maybe. And got a gun holding there. We got the strap. Good morning. Happy morning study, everybody. Oof, it's awful. Good, more people popping in. As usual, let me know if there's any questions. I'm just working on morning today. We're doing a photo study of a guy's uniform and his kit here. Still need to bring this head more forward. So I always like to save the head for last. That way I can make sure it goes in the right spot, mostly. That's leaning forward with his neck quite a bit. Looks like a Soviet soldier based off the patch here. Do you have to know every single muscle? I'd say the answer to that is no. I do think there are muscles are important to know, um, but not every single one of them is important. And so someone asking that over on Twitch. But yeah, there's something called artistic anatomy, and so usually I think there's different levels of knowledge for that. So there's the ones that I consider like essential that I would say teach in a beginning drawing class. So things like your rectus femoris, which is the big muscle down the front of the middle of your thigh. Like I think that one's really important, or the vastus lateralis and medialis that are next to it. I don't know that I would consider, say, the iliopsoas as a vital muscle to know, which is a muscle that's quite large, but only a small part of it shows up on the surface. So that's kind of the difference. It's like you have the levator labii superioris and I think inferioris, if I remember. The levator labii muscles, and those are muscles that are in your face, right here, below your zygomaticus muscle, and they don't really show up on the surface very often, so I don't consider them, say, as vital to know as like your orbicularis oculi, or orbicularis oris muscle, or your mentalis. But even like a level 1, say, knowledge of muscles, I wouldn't necessarily focus a lot on facial muscles. You know, I'd save those for another time. So that's kind of what I think. I don't know if you've heard different or what you think, but that's I think it's helpful to know as much as you can. So. And but generally speaking, I also have this attitude where I think you need to know more than you need to know because you don't know what you need to know. And so there are situations where like deeper muscles might become relevant if you're trying to show like a zombie or a gore scene or something like that, or a torture something, you know, somebody being dissected. You might need to look a little deeper at the figure. But I do consider there to be like a certain number that are really, really important. And I think knowing those will get you most of the way there most of the time. It's like even in the forearm, you know, there's a whole bunch of muscles coming in here. But I tend to group that with students as being, you know, flexors and... the word flexors and extensors, so muscles that put, you know, extensors pull your fingers out, flexors pull your fingers in, and they tend to group up together, but there are ones that'll pop out a little bit more, and those can be worth knowing, but I would still probably consider that more like a level 2 information set. So that's generally how I would kind of group it up. So if I was teaching figure drawing 1, which I've done, I have like a group of bones and muscles that I have the students learn. While also, of course, pointing out to them that there's a lot more to know. But in that class specifically, there's only a certain number that are like really, really vital. And, you know, make the most difference for the kind of work they're doing. But there is always more, so. And generally speaking, I don't think it's ever a good idea to put a limit on what you should learn overall, but I think it's good to focus on certain things. It's like that iliopsoas muscle I mentioned before. It is part of the adductor group that shows up on the front of the body. It's very minimal where it shows up, but it does show up. But it kind of, it wraps, I'm sorry, Bosh. I banged something and made my dog jump. Doesn't like it when we bang things. It's no good. Yep, see, now we're getting up because we've made him very upset. We banged something. Banging things is not good to do. It's like there's a major muscle that goes right here, the sternocleidomastoid. I think that one's definitely worth knowing. Platysma, maybe, which is a big muscle on your, well, thin, narrow muscle on your neck, but when flexed, it has a dynamic effect. But again, those, you know, the platysma would probably be a secondary one, while the sternocleidomastoid would be like a more vital muscle to know. So that's what I think. But I have met people, you know, that like they don't particularly care about anatomy and they draw pretty well. I've met people that all they care about is anatomy and they're, you know, can be mediocre. I've met people who say, you know, you should never draw from life; you should only draw from your knowledge. Definitely disagree with that attitude, but I've met people that do that, and that's kind of their whole thing. You know, constructing the figure from their knowledge of anatomy and all of that. Guy's face somewhat funny because he knows he's posing for the camera, so he's kind of making a little bit of a smile here as he points off to the side. At least in the photo. Alright, let's see how we do with some inking. I'm going to knock back some of the messier pencils here. Softly. Oh yeah? Yeah, this is actually orange, but I do have red pencils too. So this is my orange one. I like the orange on this paper specifically. It's nice in other places too, but I like the red one on the white paper and then doing blue on top of it. I think has a really nice effect. It was really good. I've been using this calligraphy pen lately for rendering. Should probably turn on the other light in here, huh? Let's do something easy like this arm to start off with. Yeah, but I like the red pencil a lot too. I picked up these different colored pencils recently for, you know, pencil holders. Now, the orange one's made by Staedtler, popular pencil German brand. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning, people popping in. I appreciate that. Good morning. That makes more sense, having it down there. Too much ink deposited there a little bit. Alright, so there's that one there. This one's down here. There's a lot going on this uniform. So I'm trying to be careful. I don't miss anything important. ink. Good morning. Let's see, trying to just be really careful in here. Alright, I don't think I completely ruined that, but we'll see how it goes, right? Sorry, that's today. I don't want to forget about that. That's right. Speaking of figure drawing, I get to sit in on somebody's class today. Just don't want to forget about it. It's easy for me to do that. So a little bit extra long day, but almost forgot about that. Put that down in my notes for today. Before I forget, right? Important to always remember what we're doing today. A faculty member going out to my grad school, and I need someone to cover for him today. I probably could just cancel class, but you know. Carabiner. Let's see. Just a couple weeks till the end of classes. Kind of crazy. Semester flew right by as usual. I think it's a general problem of living in the now, right? That we all have, where it's amazing kind of how time flies, but of course that's what it does. It moves. What else would it do? It'd be weird if it held still. Right? Seems like that would be a larger problem. Alright, let's see. There's the magazine. And there's the stock. Coming down. Let's see. Alright, get into the easier parts, I guess, down here. Still should be careful, right? let's see, that's there. So put all that into shadow. Make it easier to read. I think we can move this stuff back a little bit. Should be easy enough. So like there. That'll give us a little better room underneath that area. Just, you know, fixing things on the fly, right? Good, more people popping in. Alright, getting there. I appreciate that. Probably clean off my nib once in a while, right? Alright, how are we doing for time? 43 minutes in, huh? It's definitely a more complicated costume or outfit. I appreciate that. Welcome aboard. This is my mostly daily morning study routine. I like to live stream here, kind of a warm up for the day. So, and then I gotta get ready for classes. Well, they don't start till this afternoon, but still. Oh yeah, new followers since 2021, huh? Um, welcome aboard all the same. Oh, first time on live stream. I see. Yeah. Oh yeah, come as often as you like. Wish there was a way of making kind of art live streams more interesting to more people. It's usually pretty quiet in here, especially weekdays, but which I understand. But I haven't sat down to figure out the secret sauce yet for making it more interesting for more people. But definitely let me know if there are any questions. I don't mind chatting while working, so I'm kind of used to that. Alright, let's get some white paint on here. I'm using the brown paper to kind of do these studies in, and what's nice about the brown paper is you can put on the white. So this is an acrylic white paint, so like it's a whiteout type thing, and I can use it on highlights and things. It works really well with this type of paper. Helps things pop. So that's what I've been using lately, is this stuff. You can use gouache or other things too. I just like this because it's in a jar and conveniently ready and wet all the time. So I like this one. I forgot to put on the back of his bandana there. To go put the highlight on there. I'm like, hey, wait, where'd the bandana go? Let's see, there we go. But yeah, so it's a nice effect. Takes a little concentration, so I'm trying to kind of focus a little bit, just so I don't cross over the black lines. At least not where I intend to. Like right here, I can smooth it out, which is okay. I'm not trying to do this hyper detailed with the white too. Just use it to help it pop things out a little bit more. So, but it's it's one of the reasons to use this kind of paper is for that, because you already have the brown tone kind of in the middle, and so it can be a nice effect to kind of throw on a little light. Have to be a little careful you don't put on the wrong amount or anything, but otherwise it works really, really well. So, yeah, big fan of the effect. Well, well, first off, I'm working from a photograph, right? So that helps a lot. But if you understand generally how light works, the different parts of the light, how they happen, where they come from, and you're working with a relatively simple lighting scheme, it's not too bad to make it up. You can make it more complicated, and that's where it becomes more challenging. But like a basic light source on an imagined drawing is not too hard to set up once you understand how form works and the different parts of the light and how they kind of integrate together. Like if you can master, I've got a few minutes here. Let's put that bandana in, and I'll put this together for you. But there's 5 essential parts of the light. There's more than that, but there's 5 if you can get them just right, or mostly right. Your drawings will tend to work really well. Let's get the rest of that bandana in real quick, and I'll put a diagram up here. Something I teach all the time to my students, at the university. So it's nothing too complicated, but it seems to be like it's the kind of thing that helps people out. But there we go. And then let's put the date on here with the other pen. So this is 250415 pin ref. But the thing with light is, people they always diagram it as a sphere, which is fine. Works really well. So we're going to pop this over here and then maybe zoom in a little bit underneath him. But what you'll see is people will draw out a sphere, and then they'll put a light over here shining on the sphere, or a ball, or whatever other kind of form, and then they'll put on the cast shadow on the ground. But basically there's 5 parts of the light that are essential. There's more than that, but there's 5. So if you grab your 5 right here, the first one is your highlight. So the brighter area, and that area can range a bit on the whatever surface you're drawing, but basically it's the area emanating out from where the light hits to where it kind of bounces back at the viewer. That's really the specular highlight. But basically have this region up here, as it kind of moves away from there, depending on how the surface and the materials are. But that's your highlight up here. And then down below that is kind of the mid-tone or half-tone. So the area along here It's kind of whatever the local color is, but we call that the mid or half tone. And so it's just whatever the color of the object is. And then as you come down, there's kind of a boundary where the light can no longer pass. And some people will call this a core shadow, but there's really no such thing as a core shadow. It's kind of, sort of an effect caused by another type of light effect. But if you can get, this boundary in here, and this boundary is called the terminator. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So it's that boundary between light and shadow is the terminator. Good morning, Socrates. Just about to finish up here in a couple of minutes. Okay, you got your terminator here, and then the shadow on the form that fills it up. We call that the form shadow. And then the shadow on that's thrown on the ground as a result of the light, result of the object blocking the light, and that's the cast shadow. So I've kind of simplified that out overall in here, but basically if you can get those 5 parts down, so if I raise it up here a little bit, make it a little more visible in there. If you can get your highlight in, your halftone, your terminator, your form shadow, and your cast shadow, things will read pretty well. There are other parts of the light that are worth knowing. Let's see, we got 4 and we got 5. Like for example, the effect of the cast shadow that people talk about is really an effect of bounce light. So light coming in and bouncing back in. Illustrators usually call that reflected light, but it's also called bounce. Like if you're a 3D artist or a photographer. But it's reflected light, and that kind of goes into the shadow, and that's what causes the effect of the core shadow effect. But there's really no such thing as a core shadow. Or ambient occlusion, that can be found where things are pressing close together, like where this ball is touching the ground next to the shadow. It's a little darker there. All those little things can add to the effect. But again, if you just get these 5 down, highlight, midtone, terminator, form shadow, cast shadow, it's really easy. So if I look at my drawing right here, like the knee, this would be the highlight, right? This would be the halftone. This would be the terminator. This would be the form shadow. There's no cast shadow here just because there's nothing there to catch it, but it's probably back here on the ground somewhere. Or if you look here, you've got the same kind of thing. So, we've got the terminator here, highlights there. Midtones over here. There's a bit of a cast shadow being thrown on top of it, so it's a little bit more complicated, but not too complicated. And then you've got a cast shadow there. Oh yeah? People are riding in Greece, huh? So those are kind of So I'm just paying attention to these 5 things, maybe the other ones too, over and over again. So you got a highlight, like on his collar. You got a highlight right there. You got your terminator, because it's pretty sharp, so there's not a lot of room for the midtone. And then you've got your form shadow and your cast shadows underneath that. And so I was just paying attention to that over and over again. Photography situations like the picture I'm looking at tend to be a little bit more complicated than that, but that's kind of the overall principle of the thing. And it's just being aware of those different parts, and then when you go to do your actual own drawings, it's it's a lot easier to deal with that. So yeah, so that's kind of the whole trick with lighting is getting this anatomy, the anatomy of light down, so you know all the different parts. Like someone was asking, well, do you have to know all the anatomy of the whole figure earlier? And I was like, well, you need to know more than you need to know, but you probably don't need to know everything about it. A lot of things, yes, but not every single one. And there's different levels of knowledge too. But if you can get these 5 down really, really well, your drawings will have a lot of form. There's more, but that's like the main ones. So you've got other ones would include like the bounce light, your ambient occlusion, your penumbra, your specular highlight, and subsurface scattering are all the other ones that are helpful to know too. But if you get the 5, that'll get you a long way. So anyway, it's been about an hour, so appreciate everybody that came in, and we'll talk to you all later.